They called it the calm before the storm, but no one expected the mountains to breathe fire. A curtain of smoke rose over the ridgelines. Ash rained like soft snow. Mandatory evacuations swept through Rocky Mountain National Park. The Fern Lake Fire, fanned by merciless winds, ignited more than just timber. It sparked a chain of questions scientists were already beginning to ask across Canada. Because while tourists gazed in awe at the Rockies' grandeur, they didn't realize the land beneath them was stirring. Canada, vast and ancient, hides truths deeper than the lakes that mirror its skies. And in 2025, those truths began clawing their way to the surface. This wasn't just about scenic beauty anymore, it was about instability, movement, awakening. The year began with strange satellite readings over British Columbia. What was initially dismissed as tectonic tension was soon revealed to be something far more unsettling. Magma pushing up from below. Using InSAR technology, scientists detected rapid ground uplift in the coast mountains. It wasn't subtle. Something was rising, slow and deliberate. Then came the gases. Sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide levels spiked in remote alpine zones. Earthquake swarms followed. Not huge but regular, precise 7 to 10 kilometers deep. Infrared drone scans lit up thermal anomalies. The heat was real. And then the gravimetric readings showed a mass change beneath the crust. Geochemists tested springs nearby and found strange isotopes and elevated temperatures. The signs were converging. Something big was forming below. One volcanologist put it plainly, it looks like a magmatic system trying to surface. The question isn't whether it's active. The question is, how much time do we have? This wasn't a volcano anyone had mapped. It was a hidden caldera, possibly linked to the same subduction systems that birthed Mount Garibaldi and Mount Meager. Now a full reassessment is underway. If pressure continues to build, it could result in dome-forming eruptions, hydrothermal blasts, or even a Plinian event, something so powerful, it would black out skies for weeks. Though remote, the region isn't silent. Indigenous oral histories have long whispered of the ground trembling, of unnatural fogs and thunder without storms. Science now believes those stories may describe eruptions predating written record. That kind of continuity between past and present carries weight. Canada might be sitting on a sleeping supervolcano. And it's starting to wake up. But that wasn't all 2025 had in store. Thousands of kilometers to the north, Yukon's rivers were doing the unthinkable, reversing. Again. In 2016, the Slims River shocked the world when it abruptly changed direction. Now it was happening again. This time, hydrologists monitoring the Slims Basin in April saw the flow slow, then stop, and over days it reversed. The culprit? The relentless retreat of the Kaskawulsh Glacier. But the mechanisms were different now. Subglacial channels, widened by meltwater and warmer internal flows, redirected massive volumes of water into entirely different watersheds. Suddenly, instead of feeding the Slims, meltwater gushed into the Alsek River hundreds of kilometers away. Satellite photos showed entire wetlands vanishing, dried like autumn leaves under heat lamps. Meanwhile, new floodplains erupted with life where there had once been dust and gravel. In just 2 months, a vital lake lost over 40% of its water volume. Migratory birds arrived to find cracked mud instead of mirror-like water. Fish lost spawning grounds. First Nations communities, whose traditions and food sources relied on the river's path, saw fisheries collapse. A hydroelectric plant, built with expectations of steady flow, now operates at barely 60% capacity. They're calling it river piracy. And scientists warn, more rivers are next. The Yukon, the Northwest Territories, anywhere glaciers are vanishing, the water follows new paths. Sometimes backward. Sometimes into places that were never supposed to be wet. Subglacial radar now shows that several smaller rivers may soon be hijacked by these sudden shifts. It's climate change redrawing maps in real time. But perhaps the most mysterious signal of all wasn't visual or physical. It was a hum. A seismic hum, deep beneath the Canadian Shield. This 4-billion-year-old slab of rock, the oldest part of North America, started sending out a low-frequency signal. It pulses every 7 minutes. You can't hear it, but sensitive equipment picks it up like a heartbeat. They call it the Shield hum. First suspected to be from mining or groundwater movements, all human and geological explanations were ruled out. This wasn't from surface industry. There were no moving aquifers. The vibrations are coming from deeper, possibly the mantle itself. Some believe it's a slow-slip fault releasing pressure. Others think it's something more ancient, the earth shifting against itself, deep in its molten belly. What's certain is that the hum is spreading. Sensors now detected in new locations. And though it's too low to shake buildings, its consistency suggests long-term tectonic stress, possibly a precursor to a new fault zone awakening. Not all discoveries were hidden underground. Off the coast of Vancouver Island, divers stumbled on a cave system that rewrote everything they knew about Canada's oceans. Deep in the Juan de Fuca Strait, they found thermally active underwater caves. Vents bubbled with volcanic gases. The walls glowed under ultraviolet light, coated in microbial mats unlike anything seen before. In pitch blackness, colonies of extremophiles thrive. These organisms feed on hydrogen sulfide and survive without sunlight. Some form structures meters tall. They're not just rare, they're alien. The cave ecosystem resembles those found around mid-ocean ridges thousands of kilometers offshore. But this one lies mere kilometers from land. Some scientists now argue this site could serve as a model for extraterrestrial life environments, like those on Europa or Enceladus. Then, in Nunavut, a simple ice core drill became one of Canada's greatest archaeological finds. Near Baffin Island, at a depth of 100 feet, researchers pulled up charcoal, wood, and tools, some fashioned from ivory, others from bone. Radar revealed the outlines of shelters, ceremonial mounds, and paths. The site could be over 5,000 years old. Preserved in permafrost, the structures are in near pristine condition. This culture, possibly pre-Dorset or something even older, lived, thrived, and vanished here. No record exists in modern archaeology. The discovery is rewriting Arctic human history. And with warming permafrost, scientists are racing to excavate before the site begins to decay. In just a few short months, the story of Canada has shifted. From the Yukon to British Columbia, from ancient stone to modern sky, the land is speaking, moving, glowing, reversing, humming. Volcanoes that were forgotten are growing. Rivers are rewriting geography. The earth is not still. Canada's reputation as calm, stable, and frozen is being shattered. What lies beneath the forest floor or under the snowpack isn't just history, it's a force. It's alive. And if 2025 has taught us anything, it's that we are only just beginning to listen. From space-based sensors to ancient echoes trapped in ice, this country is revealing a new face. A volatile one, a powerful one, a beautiful and dangerous one. And for scientists, explorers, and citizens alike, the challenge is clear. Watch, understand, prepare. Because Canada isn't just the backdrop of Earth's story anymore. It is the story. And it's unfolding beneath our very feet. They called it a land of silence, of ancient stone and sleeping earth. But Canada's silence is breaking. Something beneath its vast wilderness is shifting, stirring, waking. From British Columbia to the Arctic Circle, recent discoveries are exposing fault lines, fire, ice, and echoes of a much more violent Earth. This is not the Canada we thought we knew. This is something deeper. And it's only the beginning. It started beneath the sands, oil sands, that is. Near Fort McMurray, Alberta, a region famous for its energy industry, geologists monitoring microseismic activity stumbled on something unexpected. A fault. Not a small crack, but a strike-slip fault stretching beneath the Athabasca oil sands. Dubbed the Athabasca Shear Zone, it's a ghost of geological upheaval, long dormant, but no longer asleep. Subtle tremors, once dismissed as industrial noise, now take on new meaning. The stress is building. The rock is shifting. And if it moves, pipelines, infrastructure, and entire energy operations could face massive risk. Alberta's quake risk assessment is being rewritten in real time. Far north, where the ice never fully melts, satellites peered deep through the Canadian Arctic's frozen crust and revealed two massive subglacial lakes near Ellesmere Island. These lakes, sealed off from air or sunlight for more than 100,000 years, exist in total isolation, kept liquid by geothermal heat far below the ice cap. The environment is so alien that scientists believe these lakes could host forms of microbial life unknown to science. They're preparing to drill in 2026, hoping to pull up samples of organisms that have survived in ancient, sealed ecosystems. If they find life, it will be like opening a time capsule from the planet's deep past, or even a model for what life might look like beneath the icy crust of Europa or Enceladus. But Canada's sleeping giants aren't all frozen. Mount Edziza, a sprawling volcanic complex in northern British Columbia, has started to breathe again. Dormant for hundreds of years, the mountain has shown signs of awakening. Helium-3 gas levels are rising. Harmonic tremors, those deep musical seismic waves, are ringing from beneath the earth. Satellite data shows subtle bulges in the landscape. The signs are textbook. Pressure is building. Magma is rising. And local communities are now undergoing emergency drills while volcanologists fan out across the valleys to track what could become Canada's next eruption. Manitoba had its own shock in July 2025, when a gaping sinkhole appeared near a limestone quarry. 70 meters across, plunging 30 meters deep, it opened without warning. Residents were evacuated. Roads were closed. Drones revealed concentric rings of subsidence, like ripples from a vanished explosion. The limestone in this region is notoriously porous, prone to karstification, a process where groundwater eats away at the rock, forming unseen voids. What likely triggered the collapse was a heat wave, forcing farmers to pump more groundwater than ever. The sudden pressure drop underground caused the delicate balance to fail. A cavity collapsed, and a hole the size of a football field swallowed part of the earth. It might be the first sign of a much larger collapse zone waiting beneath Manitoba's surface. And the ground isn't just crumbling, it's breaking. In Newfoundland, seismic researchers using LiDAR and satellite tilt analysis announced the discovery of a new fault line stretching over 90 kilometers beneath the Avalon Peninsula. It cuts under towns, roads, forests, areas previously believed geologically stable. Slow slip events are already occurring, gradual movements in the earth that don't cause immediate quakes but store stress like a ticking clock. And the alignment of this fault matches stress vectors from the North Atlantic plate. That means even distant tectonic shifts could push this hidden fracture into motion. Quakes in the magnitude 5 to 6 range are now a possibility. Not apocalyptic but enough to shake buildings, snap infrastructure, and disrupt daily life. Provincial authorities are now revising building codes and reviewing bridge retrofits and emergency preparedness in vulnerable towns. Meanwhile, deep beneath Alberta, something even older has stirred. In a series of ice caves near Jasper National Park, a spelunking expedition uncovered pristine remains of Ice Age giants, hair, bone, frozen feces from creatures like woolly rhinoceros and short-faced bears. The caves had preserved their DNA like cryogenic vaults. The dry, stable cold locked in fragments of life from 20,000 to 40,000 years ago. Inside, claw marks line the walls. These beasts didn't just die here, they lived, sheltered, and moved through these frozen chambers. Scientists at the University of Alberta are now sequencing the DNA. Some of it is already showing genetic links to modern bison and Arctic foxes. And biotech firms are lining up, offering cryogenic storage, even hinting at synthetic biology and cloning. Could we one day resurrect these lost giants? Maybe. But even without revival, the information encoded in their genes might teach us how animals once endured climate chaos, and how modern species might adapt to what's coming next. Saskatchewan offered a different kind of mystery: heat, not cold. In early 2025, satellite scans for geothermal mapping picked up something strange beneath the Williston Basin. A plume of heat, 30 kilometers wide, 12 to 15 kilometers underground. A 5 to 7 degree rise in temperature compared to surrounding rock. It wasn't volcanic. It wasn't explained. But it lies near old oil wells, raising the possibility of reusing the site for geothermal power. The energy potential is enormous, but so are the questions. What's generating the heat? A magma intrusion? A deep crustal fault? The answers could lead to clean energy, or uncover something more complex brewing far beneath Saskatchewan's surface. And there's more. In the lowlands of Quebec, seismographs have been picking up rhythmic tremors, low-frequency pulses that repeat every 7 minutes. At first, researchers thought they were background noise. But they've ruled out machinery, mining, and groundwater movement. This shield hum, as it's now called, is consistent with deep mantle movement or the kind of long-duration seismic slips that precede major geological events. A vast, ancient slab of bedrock, once thought immovable, is flexing. And no one knows yet what it means. Even the waters are moving strangely. Yukon's rivers are changing direction again. Like in 2016, when glacial retreat caused the Slims River to vanish overnight, 2025 brought another shock. Hydrologists recorded a full reversal in water flow over just 3 days, turning once thriving wetlands into dust and turning other floodplains lush with new growth. The culprit? A redirected subglacial melt path from the shrinking Kaskawulsh Glacier. Entire ecosystems are upended. Fish spawning cycles disrupted. Hydropower dams operating at half their capacity. First Nations communities are already adapting, but scientists warn this might only be the beginning. The northern hydrology of Canada is no longer predictable. It's a story being rewritten in real time. And in British Columbia's Juan de Fuca Strait, divers exploring underwater caves have found entire ecosystems of extremophiles, microorganisms glowing faintly in the dark, thriving in toxic gases and complete blackness. These caves, near active fault zones, hint at underground volcanic gas vents, similar to the hydrothermal chimneys of deep ocean ridges. But these are just kilometers from shore. Could there be a more active magma system beneath the Pacific coast than we thought? Could these strange glowing life forms teach us how biology survives in extreme, alien environments? Perhaps even help us model life on other planets? As each piece of this geological puzzle falls into place, the picture sharpens. Canada is not the passive, cold, unchanging land of textbooks. It is alive, moving, breathing. Beneath its forests, ice fields, and stone plateaus lies a restless world of fire, water, pressure, and life. And now that the silence is broken, it's time to listen closely. Because the true power of Canada lies not just in what we see above the trees, rivers, and mountains, but in what's stirring far below.